Good morning, everybody. Just waiting for Mike to show up here. I expect him momentarily, and as soon as he logs in, we'll get going right away. Awesome, Mike. How are you, man?
Good. How are you?
Great. I was worried maybe if you forgot about us.
Of course not. Time lock.
I know that. I know that. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us, man. I'm really excited to jump into this conversation with you. I think anybody who's attending here is certainly going to get a ton of value out of our conversation. And no specific structure or anything, man. I just want to basically have a conversation and just kind of share a bit about your story, jumping in when you moved to Hamilton, kind of what you successfully did in your first year of business over here, maybe a little bit about where you are today. And then most importantly, I would love it if you can share some tips, tricks, hacks on how people can stay committed to doing the do. You know, we all know we need to have conversations in real estate to build our businesses, to build our pipeline, to fund our lives. And I know it can be a tough thing to do. It really can, right? We all know we have to do it. Majority of people don't want to do it. So if we can give some tips and tricks on how they can stay purposeful in doing that to achieve what they're looking to achieve. So with that being said, Mike, if you wouldn't mind, share a little bit about yourself first, and then let's jump into your story about when you became a realtor only a short few years ago.
Okay. Yeah. So I originally from Halifax, grew up out there. Went to university out there, got a job out there, realized there wasn't a ton of opportunity for me out east. So I decided to do my master's in Ontario, which brought me to Waterloo. I thought getting a corporate job after my master's was going to be my ticket. And then pretty much on day one, I realized this wasn't for me. Didn't like the cubicle, didn't like the hierarchy around it. It took, like, for me to get from where I was when I started to the level I wanted to, it would have taken 20 years. And to be honest, in 20 years, I want to be feet up on a beach somewhere, not working for a big corporation.
Yeah.
And then on my way to work, I was always a big dreamer, and my family at home invested in real estate. So I thought that's what I wanted to do. And one day I would listen to this podcast on the way to work every day. And it was Sandy's podcast. And one day I called him. I was looking to buy my second property. And in my mind, I thought the guy was a celebrity and would never answer my phone. But I called, he answered, he sold me a house. And a couple of days later, convinced me to quit my job, get my license, and come down here and work with him. So that's what I did. I followed a stranger to Hamilton, and here I am. It worked out.
No, that's awesome, man. So let's talk about that. I mean, you had a corporate job, so obviously you had a consistent income coming in. Didn't like what you were doing, knew that this wasn't the road you wanted to take, and then just flip of a switch, you're just like, screw it, I'm jumping into real estate. Is that basically it?
Pretty much. Like, when I look back on my life, there are these key moments in time where I can see something just happened, or something triggered something that caused a change in my life.
Okay.
And when I worked at Honda, I lived with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and one of my buddies from college. And he's this Russian guy. He liked to drink, and he had a habit of bringing one or too many beers home every night. And he would ask me to partake, and I would say yes. Many mornings I would wake up, go to my job with a little bit of a headache. Work would start at 9. I would wake up at 8:30 and scramble to get to the office. And I forget who it was, but someone told me, read this book. No, I don't want to read this book. I don't read books. That's what my teachers told me to do in school. And I said no then, and I'm going to say no now. But for whatever reason, I picked the book up, and it was The Miracle Morning. And I got a dog at that time, and I read this book and thought, this dog needs to go out and get some exercise. So I never ran a day in my life until that point. And I went for a run.
Okay.
Again and again and again. And that was, the book lays out, it's called The Savor: Silence, SA, Affirmations, Visualization, Exercise, Reading, and Scribing. And the working out worked for me. I really enjoyed that. So then I just added another one and another one and another one. And now my daily ritual every day starts with the savers, and I don't miss them really ever. And that was my turning point in my life. And that gave me the energy to think maybe 9 to 5 isn't enough. Maybe I need to go out and buy this rental property.
I want to pause you there too. And just for all our listeners here today, if you have not read The Miracle Morning, I believe it's by Hal Elrod. Is that his name, Mike? It's a wonderful book, guys. And it's funny hearing you say that, Mike, because I've never heard that from you before, but that book was a game changer for me in my personal life as well. And Tammy, who I know is on this call, knows something I'm striving to do is get back to my 5 a.m. morning routines because of all the good stuff it brought to my world. So if you haven't read that book, I highly, highly recommend that book. But anyways, Mike, I'll let you continue on.
Yeah, so that was what really sparked it. And then from there, I started reading more. And reading it's actually fun when you get to choose what you read and learn about things you want to learn, because unless we're Elon Musk and we're looking to go to Mars, there's always going to be someone that achieves what we want to achieve in life. I think pretty big, but I don't think so big that there isn't someone on this planet that's already done what I want to do.
Absolutely, man. So let's jump into first day as a realtor. Let's hear about that.
First day as a realtor, I wanted to be like Sandy. He was a buyer agent. He did in his first year, I think he did 52 buy-side deals with investors. So that's what I wanted to do. Okay. But when I joined his team, he sat me down and said, no, you're not going to do that. You're going to work on the listing side. And I said, okay, that's what I'll do then. You say that's what's right. Okay. And for the first week, I looked at my phone, terrified to pick it up and use it. And fortunately, Sandy's wife, Kate, was my team lead, and she didn't let that last for very long. She locked me in a room and told me to start dialing.
So let's talk about that, because I think a lot of people have that call reluctance and that fear, right? So how did you overcome that? Aside from Kate saying, hey, you got to do this, and locking you in a room, mentally, there had to have been something that triggered you to just jump in and take action.
Yeah, I think when you boil life down, look at human motivation, it's going to be one of two things. It's going to be pursuit of pleasure or avoidance of pain. And I got into this business, I was all in, there was no plan B. I left my job and I wasn't making a ton of money before. So I think I had 15 grand saved up. My bank account, I knew was going to go down and down and down and down unless I earned a commission check. So that fear was my main motivator in the beginning. Okay. I knew failure was possible, but I wasn't going to go out without a fight.
Awesome. Love it. Now, I just want to circle back and get clarity. Now, Mike moved from Halifax to Hamilton, and literally how many people did you know at that time?
One, Sandy McKay.
There you go. So this gentleman came here from a different province, jumped into a brand new career, didn't know anybody. Share with the group, Mike, how many transactions did you end up doing that first year real estate?
Was at 54, but 2 didn't close.
Okay, so 52 transactions. Now, how did you achieve this stuff, and what did your daily schedule look like, and what commitments did you make to yourself to get you to what you achieved in year one?
So I was pretty fortunate. The second I joined the business, I had a coach provided to me. So I coached with Marianne Gillespie, and she basically put it to me. She asked me a question: how much work do you like, given, the 5 activities of real estate are all that matters, lead gen, lead follow-up, script and role play, go on appointments, negotiate contracts. Mike, would you agree that that's what's most important? Yes. How many appointments do you have right now? None. How many clients do you have to follow up with right now? I have none. So with that being said, what should you be spending your time on right now? Lead gen, you have no one to follow up with, and scripting. Because when you do lead gen at a high level and you book appointments, you want to be able to know what to say to those people at that time. And yeah, she fortunately told me how much to lead gen. She's like, to hit your income goal, you need to speak to 140 people a day, every day. And if you met for 5 days a week, if you miss a day, you come in on Saturday.
Okay. So hearing that, I mean, geez, just me hearing you say that, I feel it in my stomach. 140 people a day, like that's a ton of people. How did you take that? Just, okay, let's do this? Or what was that like?
Yeah, I find the best way to handle coaching is just to submit to what your coach has to tell you. If you respect that coach, and if that coach has a track record of creating successful agents. So that's what I did.
Marianne absolutely does. So what was your prospecting methods and what was your time block? What'd that world look like for the first few months until you were able to build a pipeline?
Yeah, so I had I would start around 8:30. So if lead gen for me started at 8:30, I'm in front of my computer and phone at 8:20, and it actually starts at 8:30, and it would go until 1 o'clock. In a perfect world, I would have appointments booked in the afternoon. In the beginning, that wasn't my reality. And to be honest with you, I didn't take scripting very seriously in the beginning. I just wanted to be in front of clients and try and earn a commission check. So it would be 8:30 to 1. If I'm not on appointments, I would just continue. And I was commuting from Toronto every day. So I had to stay here until 6 or I'd be stuck in rush hour traffic. So it was 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m.
And you were cold calling, correct?
Yeah.
So you were using, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were on the Mojo dialer system.
Exactly.
Okay. Now let's talk about this because I think a lot of people, they're cool with that. They're like, yeah, I can cold call. And then they go to do it and they're overwhelmed, or they pick up the phone, make that first call, and they got somebody who's pissed off on the other end. How did you take that? What was your experience as you're jumping into 8:30 to 4, like 4 or 5 hours worth of cold calling a day? How did the calls come forward? Was there a lot of negativity? Were people receptive? Obviously, you were able to book business. So let's hear on all three of that.
Yeah, so tons of negativity. There still is today when I call. But I always ask myself the question, what's most important to you? Is it achieving your goals? Which at that point, my goal is very simple. It's not to run my bank account into the negative. Or is it avoiding some person calling me a name, calling my mother a name? I've heard some terrible things. But my goals are my priority. And the more people I call, the more likely I am to get to a yes. And once I get that yes, that's someone I can help and earn an income as a result of helping them.
Do you remember your first yes?
Yeah.
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 How'd that feel?
Strange.
Interesting. How long did it take?
It took, so I started, it was exactly 4 years ago. Now I started at the beginning of September in 2017. And I got some yeses on appointments. And then I would fail. And then finally, I remember their names were Ron and Diane. And I went over and gave them my little presentation and sat there. And they looked at me like I had two heads. Mike, what do we do? What do we do now? I don't know. Are you ready to sell your house? And they signed the listing, and that was that.
That's a cool win, man. And that probably just that point alone made all the grind work that had led up to that point worth it. And then I have to assume the confidence that it built within you just powered you through moving forward. Am I correct in assuming that?
After that, it was off to the races. It was smooth sailing. Just keep doing the lead generation and tweak the scripts and learn how to ask for the business. I was pretty blessed with, that was a cool experience because the guy, Ron, he had lost his legs.
Okay.
And I would always go meet them at their house and he'd be laying in bed and I would go sit there. And the first time I met him, his wife wasn't there. And he told me she doesn't actually want to sell the house. So I came back the following week and met with both of them. No, Mike, we're not selling the house. They would bicker back and forth about what their plan was. And in the background, I heard the phone ringing and she would ignore it and he would ignore it. And it kept ringing and ringing and ringing. Eventually she broke down in tears. And Ron told me the reason she's crying is because we haven't paid our mortgage in the last 6 months. We haven't paid our credit cards. If this continues, we're going to lose everything we have. That's why we truly need to sell. So I got lucky in the sense that the situation allowed their motivation to unfold in front of me. Because of that experience, now when I meet with a client and do my consultation, I spend a significant period of time going very, very deep on their motivation to figure out why I'm there in the first place.
Okay, that's powerful, man. I got goosebumps as you're sharing a bit of that story. Now, so 4 years in the industry, I know now you've moved into a different position, still partnering alongside Sandy McKay. What's your, I guess, job title today?
So today I'm still a realtor. I give most of my deals away at this point to my team, but I try and generate 50 to 60 pieces of business a year. I don't do a lot of the deals myself. My main function now is as team lead. So bring on new agents and getting them into production.
So are you still prospecting on a daily basis?
I find it tough to ask people to do something that I'm unwilling to do. Do I have time to do it every single day? No. But at least a few days a week, I get in the room with everyone and do make calls.
Okay. So your team members, then I assume you're in charge of ensuring that they're doing the prospecting. What's it look like for people on your team to, like, what are they committed to and how is it working for them?
So it depends on their goals. So I'll never sit down with someone at the beginning of the year when we're doing business planning, or the end of the year when we're doing business planning, and say, I want you to sell 50 houses, 60 houses, 70 houses. If someone wants to do 2 deals a month, I'm totally fine with that. We work closely with Marianne to put together the economic model around that. So we have it's a spreadsheet that will just show us how many contacts you need to make to get X number of appointments, to sign X number of listings and buyer contracts, to put X number of dollars in your pocket. So we just build a model around the activities we know need to be in place for them to hit their goal.
So with that being said, what are the hurdles some of your team members are experiencing on a day-to-day basis? Like, what's getting in their way of not doing it? And then how do, whether it be yourself pulling them back or themselves pulling them back to do what they know they need to do? What do you see in that?
I mean, a book that I was fortunate to read very early on was The One Thing. Ryan, we were in that course together. So what's the one thing a new agent or any realtor needs to do on a daily basis so everything else either doesn't matter or is pretty insignificant? That's something I'm always reminding them of and holding them accountable to. And this is a very simple business. It's not easy. All they need to do are those 5 activities. My job is to hold them accountable to that. So we all have our to-do list. You have my to-do list right here. Tons of items on it. But I mean, when I look at it, none of it really matters. I don't look at my to-do list until my one thing is complete, which when I was an agent, that was lead generation.
Okay. What do you feel are yielding significant results in the prospecting world for whether it be yourself or your team members? I know I'd love to, maybe second question, we'll jump into the cold calling, what your thoughts are on that and the results you're seeing as a lot of people are transitioning away from home phone, a lot more people subscribing to do not call list. So what methods are yourself or your team members utilizing to get their contacts in on a daily basis and yielding good results?
Yeah, so the way we look at it within our business, there are 3 lead gen pillars. So one is cold calling, one is door knocking, and the other is open house. So all of our agents, when they join us, they try each of those items. The best form of lead generation is lead generation you're going to stick to over an extended period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care if they're cold callers, knockers, or open housers, we'll call them.
Sure.
But I know in the beginning, my preferred method of lead gen was to focus on open houses, and all my activities through the week would be geared towards driving people to my open house. I wasn't randomly cold calling people. I was calling them to ask them if they or anyone they know plan on selling and invite them to my open house.
Love it.
Open houses, I think a lot of us show up and just expect people to be there just simply by putting the open house on the MLS, but that's not the case. What I've been taught is, say you want to get 20 people to your open house, to do that, you need 100 to say yes. That's a lot of, imagine going out and getting 100 people to commit to going to your open house.
Mm-hmm.
I think in general with lead generation, we underestimate how much it's going to take to get us to where we want to be.
I'd agree. So let's talk open house then. And I mean, we can do open houses now. I think it's a bit different of a structure, but eventually the world's going to open up again. It'll be back to the way we used to host them. But it's a good opportunity for the people listening here. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. The open house, at least for me in my business, was a wonderful opportunity for me to build a pipeline. But you're right, steps that need to go into it ahead of time, door knock in the neighborhood. And I think that's a great approach because at least myself personally, I don't love when people come to my doors. I have door knocked in the past and yielded significant results from it. But I think when you're going there up to the door to say, hey, just wanted to let you know we've got a property for sale around the corner. If you got some friends or family members who are looking to move into the neighborhood, we're going to have that open house open an hour ahead of time if you'd like to come through. And then from there, we'll open up the door. You build some quick rapport. They let their guard down. Oh, by the way, how long have you lived in the area? Have you ever considered making a move? And just bringing it up from there. But I think the key significance in that is you have to take detailed notes, get them into a CRM and follow up, right?
100%. Leaving a business card for them and expecting them to call you is not good enough.
Yeah, back in my early days, me and another colleague would go out every morning, 9 to 11. We would pick good neighborhoods. We would get out there. We'd knock the doors, have great conversations. We'd get some significant leads. But I didn't have a CRM in my early days. I didn't follow up in my early days. And trust me, it sucked when I would see it come across the hot sheets, a house coming up for sale that I knew was going to come up for sale, that I talked to the seller. So it just goes to show the importance of follow up and keeping detailed notes, right?
Yeah. If you, I've had a few cool experiences that have just taught me, if you speak to enough people, magical, weird things will begin to appear in your life. This is maybe my second year, knocked on an older gentleman's door. He wanted to sell his house. His house was dilapidated. Great, we'll sell it. So we were getting the listing ready to go to market. The next week, cold called someone. They wanted to sell their house. The man that lived there just quit his job because he's a flipper. So take that flipper over to the old man's house, sell him that house. And then at the 2 months down the road, cold call another person. They want to sell their house, bring them back to the old man's house, and sell the old man's house to these new clients I met. It was great. I sold that house 4 times in 6 months.
Very cool. Yeah, no, it's very true what the world can throw your way if you're doing what you need to be doing. Let me ask you, give the listener some tips and tricks for getting over the anxiety of prospecting. And then secondly, how to stay purposeful and the consistency in doing the work.
So I'd say hiring a coach was huge for me. And hire a coach that takes, if I didn't do what I committed to, and I told her that during my session with her, it was a very nasty call. I'm very close with my coach. I love her to death, but there have been multiple occasions where she threatened not to coach me anymore.
So on that note, though, 2 things come to my mind. We know coaching is very expensive, so not everybody may have that opportunity. And I wholeheartedly agree. A business coach has been in my world since my first year in this industry. At this time, we have 3 business coaches. So I understand the return on investment on a good business coach. But I will also second that by saying, I know Marianne is a driver, very straight to the point, and there's no BS in her world. Not many coaches are going to have that high level of accountability. So aside from the coaching perspective, what else could you share some perspective? If I've got somebody sitting here today that knows they need to make 25 phone calls a day, but for whatever reason have some call reluctance or some anxiety around that, what tips and advice could you share with them to maybe get them over that hump?
It's a couple things. I've thought about this pretty early on. The people that yell at you or get frustrated with you about calling them, you're never going to meet them or talk to them. It's the people that are receptive to you that say, yes, Ryan, come over. I'd like to get a value on my house. I'd like you to help me. Those are the ones that you're going to form a relationship with. And if we truly care about our clients, we need to go through the mud and talk to all those no's, all those screaming, irate, angry people in order to get to the people we can truly help. And I came here with no sphere. Those people for me now are my sphere. They're my past clients. They're my friends. They're a big part of my world. If I didn't go through the mud and get screamed at thousands and thousands of times, I would have never had the opportunity to help that guy, Ron. I can honestly sit here and say he did not go bankrupt because awesome. I called enough people to come across him and give him the help he needed to get out of that situation. So I would say some people are motivated based on clients. I would ask myself, what's most important to me? Is it helping clients or is it avoiding getting yelled at? I'll choose clients. Some people are focused on their own success. I was very much like that in the beginning. I wanted to make money. I wanted to make lots of it and I wanted to make it fast. So what's most important to me? Is it avoiding Joe that I'll never meet in my life, avoiding him and the experience of him yelling at me? Or is it going through enough no's to get to a yes so I can collect a healthy paycheck? And I'll choose the paycheck every single time.
That's a great perspective, Mike. Appreciate you sharing that.
And there's one other.
Go ahead.
This is very cool. I'm not sure who showed it to me. I'm going to pull out a calculator because I'm far from a mathematician. So let's say we want to make 200 grand next year. How many people do I need to speak to make 200 grand? So let's call it 100 people a day at how many days am I going to work a year? 250? So I'm making $8 a call. Doesn't matter if they scream at me. Doesn't matter if they say, yes, Mike, come over. You're the best thing in real estate history. Come list my house right now. $8 a call. I worked at a call center when I was in university. I didn't make $8 an hour. So I will take that deal any day of the week.
That's a good perspective. I had a question there and it skipped my mind. It'll come back to me. I wish I was lost my train of thought. So that's what it was. So 100 people a day, realistically, how long will that take? And we're talking cold calling, obviously. Like how many hours do you think you got to put into that to physically connect with 100 people?
So like our guys now are 25 to 30 an hour.
Okay.
30 connects. And there are efficiencies you can build into it. When we call someone, it's, hi, my name's Ryan. I'm calling from Keller Williams Real Estate. There's a pause there. So if you're on the line with someone that's going to yell at you or has no interest, we give them the opportunity to tell us they have no interest so we can exit the call immediately. I don't want to give them a 20-second spiel when they have no interest. I'd rather just get off the line and hunt for the next person.
Okay.
To the interested person as fast as possible.
Are you still seeing results with cold calling today?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Sandy will always come to me and say, we need to look at other avenues to generate business, which I agree with, because I don't know if it's going to work in 10 years time. But I know the results I'm getting today versus 4 years ago when I started they're the same.
Interesting. Now this isn't just chatting with a team lead yesterday, and he was struggling with keeping his team accountable to doing the prospecting, right? Cold calling, door knocking, whatever. So he transitioned it and said, listen, you're big on social media. Jump into your Instagram, jump into your Facebook, just start conversations and talk to people about real estate. Have you or any of your team members dabbled in that at all?
Yeah, so it's not something I'm great at. I'm working on getting better at it, because when I do it, I do see results. I've done joint venture partners with people off Instagram. If you think I'd wake up and realize that it's a good source of business. I've made hundreds of thousands off that one deal on Instagram. And I've taken listings off Instagram. But yeah, it's a good way for me to keep in touch with people that are already in my network. It's far faster to message someone to tell them you care about them than feel obligated to call them every time.
So I guess ultimately it doesn't truly matter how you get your numbers in, provided you're just, I heard early on in my career, sales is a contact sport. Sports are a big thing in my world. So I was able to resonate with that right away. And it's a true reality. I mean, if you talk to 0 people today, how many lead opportunities are you going to get? 0. You talk to 100 people today, even at a bare minimum of 1%, there should be an opportunity sitting there, right? So just something to consider. What could you say to fire these people up in the room today that, maybe are struggling? The new year's just around the corner. The work we put in today is going to set us up for an awesome start to 2022. What do you feel can fire them up and get them going?
I think one thing I've realized, it takes time, and we overestimate what we can do in this short period of time, but underestimate what you can do over a longer period of time. I always go back and revisit my goals, and my goal at one point, fortunately it changed, was to work for Honda Canada, my old employer, for 20 years, acquire a house every year, and then in 20 years, when I was, I don't know, I probably would have been 50 years old, I'd have the opportunity to retire. That was my goal only 5 years ago. Since that time, I've bought 15 in 4 years, and probably hang out my skates for good pretty soon if that's what I chose to do. But remember, when I started, I only did one deal in the first 6 months. It was slow going.
Wow.
Putting in the activities day after day after day after day and staying on task, doing what we know is going to generate us results. There's a compound effect, and it's massive.
Wow, that right there, I think if everybody heard that takeaway, 52 closed transactions in 1 year, and he did 1 in 6 months. That's just unreal. But you were committed though, right? Every single day you were on the phone.
Yeah, and that was, and it was first calendar year. So I had September to December,
Okay.
didn't produce much, but from January to December the following year is when the 52 transactions happened.
Awesome. I'm gonna open this up here. Like, does anybody have some questions they would like to ask myself or Mike directly? If you do, unmute yourself. I challenge all you guys too to jump on the video, guys. I mean, we're in this new digital world, and I see the Blackham's team, their video up, as most of you guys would know within the brokerage. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask myself or Mike? Oh, we do have some down here. Give me a second here. So from Allison O'Neill, stop thinking about it. Our drunk monkey will always step in with negatives. Just move through it. So true. It's so easy just to listen to that drunk monkey and do other things. But ultimately, I feel as Mike shared perspective too, we need to circle back to what's important to us. Why are we doing this? Right? Think that we have tremendous opportunity in the world of real estate. Take a look around, even within our office, solo agents making north of $1 million, team agents crushing the numbers. There's tremendous opportunity out here, but the difference truly is the people that are making the big dollars in this industry are doing the work day in, day out. They all got different ways, different methods to go about it, but ultimately they're talking to people. They're committed to doing it. They're committed to their goals. They're clear on their vision. So Allison also said there's a distinct correlation between the number of people you touch and your income, 100%. And just said, a compound effect is created. Take the best care of your existing clients and contact them. Absolutely.
I'll just add to that. I just saw a question come up about a vision board. I'm into that, like weird hocus pocus stuff. It's part of my daily routine. Mm-hmm. I'm not a religious guy, but if I had a religion, it would be that. When you're calling or knocking, doing any form of lead generation, you're putting out to the universe that you want business. So over this past week, we have a new agent on our team, and he's calling like crazy, and he's not getting the results he wants. And he's been doing that for the past month or so. And this person calls him. Hey, Santiago, can you go sell me a house? He goes, sells him a house. Oh, and then one of the cold calls actually pans out, and he signs his first listing. And then his dad calls him. His dad's an electrician. His dad has a piece of business for him. I've seen it myself. It's not always going to come off the lead generation necessarily. But if you're constantly telling the universe that you want business, you deserve business, it's going to come from unexpected places.
So true. What you say, what you think, you attract. I mean, I'm big on that, and anybody on my team would know that. My kids, I tell them all the time when I hear negativity enter or exit their mouth, I tell them, yeah, if you say that stuff, you are, whether you're right or wrong, whatever you believe is ultimately true. And I myself, I'm also big on visualization, affirmations. Again, back when I'll circle back to when I had my miracle mornings up and running at a very high level. I'd be at the gym 5 a.m. I was on a 5 a.m. call. I'd be at the gym if I'm on the elliptical or whatever it may have been. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm watching video training sessions. Coming home, I'm screaming my affirmations. And what's super cool and why I share that is because this is only a few short years ago, and the things that I was screaming and wanting to come into my world, the coolest part is majority, if not all of them, are now in my world. So there's power in this stuff, guys. There really, truly is. We have a question here. What is your mix of lead gen versus lead follow-up call cycles each day?
Yeah, so lead generation always comes first because I need to be filling the pipeline every single day. Follow-up, we use Follow-Up Boss, so it's task-based on a daily basis. My commitment to myself is that I get the task to 0 every single day. that gives me maximum opportunity, and it also allows me to keep the commitments I made to people in my database. So I can't set a task for tomorrow telling Tammy I'm going to call Tammy tomorrow. If I don't zero out my task, Tammy's not going to get the phone call, and I just lied to her. So if I lie to her about when I'm going to call, how am I going to keep my commitments when I'm selling her $800,000 asset?
Love that, man. Clear. I
Always
like
try and be confidence builds when you keep the commitments you make to yourself. So Ryan, you've said on this call, you're going to get back to your miracle morning. You've told like 30, I don't know how many people, 30 people almost, you're going to do that. If you don't do it, you haven't kept the commitment you made to yourself. Just a little bit of confidence will be lost because of that.
wholeheartedly agree. Absolutely. And that's a commitment 1000% will be fulfilled. So I'm not ashamed. I love that. Love that. That was a nice coaching plug there, Mike. Let's see here. When you started, what was your breakdown of cold calling, door knocking, and open houses each week?
So in the very beginning, I didn't do a lot of door knocking. It was cold calling 8 hours a day, we'll say. And then I would do one open house every weekend.
Okay. We've also been asked, let's run through your cold calling script. So I'll be the guy you're calling. We'll do it 2 times. One is a quick no, and one is we'll see where it goes.
Okay.
Hello, Ryan speaking.
Hi, Ryan. My name is Mike. I'm calling from Keller Williams Real Estate.
Calling from where?
Keller Williams. It's a real estate company.
Oh, we're not interested in buying or selling a home.
Okay, bye-bye. On to the next one.
Hello, Ryan speaking.
Hi, Ryan. My name is Mike. I'm calling from Keller Williams Real Estate.
Keller who?
Keller Williams.
Okay, sure. How can I help you today, Mike?
We're going to be out your way next week doing a home evaluation, and I was just wondering if you'd be interested in finding out the value of your home.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting that you call because just this past weekend, actually, me and my wife were talking about, we're seeing all these signs going up for sale and everything's selling so quick. You know what? I don't truly know if we would sell our house, but I'd be very curious to know what's going on in my market and maybe what my property value is worth. Would you do something with a no obligation? Because like I said, we're probably not selling our house.
Yeah, absolutely, Ryan. No problem at all. If you were to move, where would you go?
Well, I mean, I guess it would all depend on what our property's worth, but maybe we would probably entertain the same neighborhood, but just more square footage, bigger backyard for sure.
Okay, fantastic. And what's important to you about getting a bigger backyard?
We're outdoors people. I mean, we just love being out there. We love to host with our family and friends, and basically our backyard right now, currently it's all concrete. It's not ideal. Got 2 young children, you know, so some grass and some green space would be nice. Pool would be super cool, but yeah.
And having a pool, bigger backyard, some green space, how would that change your current way of life?
I think it just provide more opportunity for us to get the family together more often, and that's what's certainly most important to us.
Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it to you that your family's together enjoying your backyard?
Oh, it's a 10, man. Good question, Mike.
Okay. What needs to happen in order for you to make the move and get this bigger backyard?
Well, like I said, I'm doubtful. It's kind of just a dream I got going on. We were talking about a what ifs, but I guess thinking it through now with the questions you're asking me, if we were able to do it, we'd maybe entertain it.
So Ryan, that's exactly why we should meet. I'm available tomorrow at 2, or I can do the following day at 3. What works best for you?
Is there any opportunity for tomorrow evening after 5? We're both working and get home around 4.
Yeah, absolutely. How about I meet you at your house tomorrow at 5?
That would be great, Mike. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate it.
No, before I let you go, Ryan, can you just make one quick commitment to me?
Sure. What is that?
Me and my assistant, we're going to put a ton of work into preparing for this meeting so we can show you as much value as possible. Can you please to me that between now and tomorrow, you won't cancel and you will, in fact, be there at 5 p.m. tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. We'll be here, Mike.
Perfect.
Cool.
I'll see you tomorrow at 5.
That was good. Some takeaways on that. Can you walk me through that? I love how you're going for the motivation right away. Share with me why you're doing that.
Once again, R&D ripping off and duplicating people I respect. Ryan McLean told me to do that.
Okay.
So if
Well, that,
it works for me. The reason, so when I was young, I did it for about 2 months. I sold gym memberships for Good Life.
mhm.
And when you go there, they give you there's this little pamphlet that the salesperson has. And it'll ask you, why do you want to join the gym? What's important to you about joining the gym? Any health issues? What's important to you about correcting these health issues? And I went through that with someone before, and the guy had heart disease, and it was his kid or his grandkid, and he wanted to be able to go to his kid or grandkid's graduation. And after that, I brought out the contract and said, this is what it's going to cost you. And he said, that's too expensive. And in my mind, that's what I told, what's most important to you? Is it saving the $40 a month? Or is it getting your kids graduation? I think when you get to a level of motivation that's deep enough, the objections they give you or the objections that are running through their minds are going to seem insignificant.
I like that. And you're allowing it. It worked on me just in that role play, right? That was not the spin I was going to go, the route I was going to go, but the questions you asked me, given that scenario, had me motivated and excited. Yeah, crap, we do want to do this. Didn't think it's possible. My family would love it. I would love it. So that was super powerful, man. I probably, before we finish, I want to go through another one of those because I think that's a lot of value for everybody on our call here today. Let me just run through the other list here. Let's see here. Allison again is sharing some awesome stuff here. 100% about being positive attracts, and you will attract what you give out. And yes, affirmations are so needed, especially when you're in a negative state of mind, which happens because that's the easy road. Look at your clients thus far to see who are you attracting into your sphere. Great takeaway. Absolutely. Samantha has asked, how long would this appointment be roughly? I'm not sure if she's referring to the call. I'm assuming she's likely referring to the presentation itself. Do you have a target timeline, or what's that look like, Mike?
Yeah, try and get in and out in an hour.
Okay.
When you have a very strong presentation, you don't get a lot of objections, I find. So it's presentation, lead through asking good questions, lead the client down the path that you know they're going. They don't know where they're going. It's your job to lead them there. And through scripts and role play, ask for the business, close the business, and get out of there. 'Cause every appointment I'm on that takes 2 hours or 2.5 hours it's less time I can spend with my kid and my wife, or it's less time I can spend lead generating and prospecting for more business.
Awesome. No, it makes sense.
I was played hockey when I was a kid, and I would always say it's seconds and inches. Don't play sports anymore. I'm not a sports guy at all, but it's very applicable to time. Wasting time on unqualified prospects or spending too much time with a qualified prospect takes away from the time we could use to focus on generating more business.
Absolutely. Let's run through that script again, Mike. Hello,
Yeah.
Ryan speaking.
Hi, Ryan. My name is Mike. I'm calling from Keller Williams Real Estate.
Oh, hey, Mike. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. How about you?
I'm well, thank you. What's up, man?
That's good. We're just going to be out your way doing a home evaluation next week for one of your neighbors, and I was wondering if you'd be interested in finding out the value of your home.
It's funny that you call, actually. We are considering a sale, but my wife's brother's in the industry, man. And if we do something, we're going to work with him for sure.
Okay, that's fantastic. And when you do move, where are you planning on going to?
We're just moving to the north side of the town, just a better neighborhood.
Okay, perfect. And what's important to you about moving to a better neighborhood?
My kids are going to be transitioning into the school system. One of them starting next year, the other the following year. And we just want to ensure that they're in a great school district.
Okay, perfect. How many realtors are you planning on interviewing to sell your largest asset, Ryan?
Well, I mean, honestly, likely just going to use my wife's brother. I mean, how can I not, right? It'd
Yeah,
be an awkward Christmas dinner if we didn't, wouldn't you think?
no, absolutely. So what I find a lot of people, they're nervous after only interviewing one realtor. How about I come over and show you how I sell homes, confirm the price, and one or two things is going to happen. You're either going to be more comfortable dealing with your brother-in-law and you'll be able to sleep better at night, or you'll realize that I'm the best person to sell your house. Either way, it's a win-win for you. Wouldn't you agree?
Hmm. I do like your perspective, and I like that I'm getting a couple different considerations. Again, I mean, I tell you though, Mike, like ultimately, I feel we're going to have to use my brother-in-law. He does sell a fair bit of real estate. He's not local to my community, but he's got a strong business.
Okay, that's no problem at all. So Ryan, what I would like to do is come over and provide you some information, zero obligation to me. And at the very least, you can pass that information along to your brother-in-law. It'll be local to this market. I know you said he's from out of town. I think it will be of value to both you and him.
Yeah, I get that. I respect that. Just being honest, Mike, I would have to get the okay from my wife before doing so. Is it okay if I get back to you?
Yep. And if I don't hear from you by this time tomorrow, is it okay if I give you a call?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Just so I know and I can share the information, if she's okay with it, what are your availabilities?
So I'm available. I can do Wednesday at 4 or the following day at 5.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, well, thanks for the call, Mike. I appreciate the perspective you shared.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I find those are, I would say normally you don't get them if it's that
Okay.
close to home, but it's always worth trying. I've sold the house of someone whose brother was a realtor before. And
Yeah, for sure. And I think you handled it well. Exactly. Like get that second opinion, work with
yeah,
me, don't work with me. At the end of the day, you're going to be, have a much clearer understanding of what you can and can't do moving forward. Uh,
mhm.
Let me ask you quickly, and I know we're getting towards the end of our time here. What are some of the few main objections that you consistently get when cold calling? We'll use that.
When cold calling, nothing, like I don't get a lot, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I don't know if cold calling is a time where you should be handling objections. I'm hunting to find that needle in a haystack, that one person that is true motivation. And I try to efficiently book the appointment, and any objections tend to come up during the listing presentation.
Okay. Okay.
During a cold call, I'm not providing them with my commission or information about how we market and sell houses. That all happens during the presentation.
Okay. I respect that. Got two questions here. Do you ever offer a referral for an out of town family members?
I have done that before. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's a win-win. That's really
Yeah.
good. Samantha has said, I would sell, but where would I go? That's a great one because we're seeing a ton of that in the marketplace right now.
I'm getting that a lot. And that one's tough because a lot of in our market, at least especially through the method of lead generation I use, I get a lot of older people
Mm-hmm.
looking to downsize. And what I find with some of these people is it's just simply not possible right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm always asking myself the question: do I go meet with that person and try and solve this puzzle that they're in,
Mm-hmm.
or do I put my head down and continue to lead generate for someone that's truly motivated and has to move?
Okay. And
That's I ask myself the same question. Ryan, you probably get this a lot. I want to sell, but we need to buy something first. I always ask myself, and it's not that I never deal with those people. I've done it before, but I ask myself, is the level of motivation within that person strong enough for me to spend my time on them?
yeah, and I think looking at perspective, if it's a move up buyer, there's tremendous opportunity out there. Really, truly is. A move down buyer, it gets challenging, but you can still get it done. There's still opportunities out there. You just need a good, proven professional that knows their market, knows the ins and outs on how to achieve that for you. Couple more questions and then we'll close this out here. When you're cold calling, are you aiming to get 100 calls or 100 contacts in one session?
Contacts.
Yeah, always contacts, guys. Dials don't count. Good to track your dials, but it's all about the contacts. And a takeaway I got from you today, it's still a contact. I answer the phone. Hey, no, sorry, Mike, not interested. Still contact, correct?
I count it as a contact as long as I've made them aware that I'm a realtor.
Okay, cool. And Allison shared, good to come back with a question, maybe about where they see themselves moving. Yeah, that was great. I really like that, Mike. That was a big takeaway for me there. So I appreciate you sharing that stuff. Is there anything else from anybody on the call today? That's about it. Okay, awesome. Well, listen, to everybody who joined in, thank you so much for joining. Truly appreciate you guys carving out the time to learn more how to build your business. Mike, thank you so much, man. It's always a pleasure. Truly appreciate you sharing everything that you have. If people here do have questions around this, or you want to build some accountability in your world, or whatever struggles you might be going through, reach out to us, guys, please. It's KW culture. We're here to help. I mean, the struggles you guys are going through, we've gone through them. We go through them on a daily basis. But as a whole, we come together, we work together, and we can overcome that stuff. 15 years in the industry, I got takeaways today learning from Mike, and me and Mike are friends. We've had this conversation multiple times over the past few years. Another big takeaway, if you're not doing it already, get into script practice. I heard it before, like, don't practice on your clients. And it may seem like script practice to you guys. The clients on the other end, they don't know it is. And majority of the conversations funnel the same route. I know me and my team have been working hard on their script practicing, and it's amazing to see firsthand the growth in where they started and where they are today. And that just builds confidence. And the better you are at it, and the more confident you are at it, the easier it's going to be to pick up the phone and book those appointments, and then ultimately convert on those appointments. So I challenge you guys, jump into that stuff. And if anybody needs support in that stuff, reach out to myself, reach out to Mike. And I think I'm speaking for both of us here. We'd be happy to help and provide support, correct?
100%.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, we'll respect everybody's time. We're 3 minutes earlier, so you got an extra 3 minutes on your day. Go make a few extra calls, guys. Thanks so much for plugging in. And Mike, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
All right.
that.
Take care, everyone. See you again soon.